Sensormatic's Infusion Tag. It's a game changer for the tagging industry. A one-piece solution reducing the time it takes to tag and the risk that comes with pins for your guests and associates. Save time, save money, and reduce risk with this one-piece innovative design.
Hello, I'm Gus Downing, publisher and editor of the D&D Daily, and this is the LP News Network. We're here today at the Loss Prevention Research Council's Impact 2018 conference, being held at the University of Florida. This episode today is the fourth in a series of 9 episodes designed to allow you to hear directly from the retail and solution provider members and leaders of the LPRC about the role, the impact, and the value this academic effort delivers to the retail industry, and also to allow you to consider membership and how you'd present it to your leadership team. We'd also like to thank Sensormatic for sponsoring this entire series in supporting this academic effort. So the next time you see a Sensormatic executive, make sure you thank them. Yeah, this series is all about you and your retailer. So let's get started. Given the level of disruption going on in the retail industry, the increasing role of technology, the importance of brand reputation, and the impact of social media, the opioid epidemic, active shooters, and cybercrime is having on the retail industry as a whole, it's never been as important as it is today to find and develop academic solutions that solve or at least help minimize enterprise risk. With that said, the LPRC is really the only academic resource we have available that's totally dedicated to the loss prevention, asset protection community here in the States. And our guests here today are tenured members of the LPRC and can speak directly to the role and impact it's having on the industry. With us today is Randy Dunn, Sales Director, Americas, Tyco Retail Solutions, and Board Member for the LPRC, and Ned McCauley, Director of Retail Strategic Accounts at Tyco Integrated Security. Gentlemen, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Gus. Appreciate it.
Good to be here. Thank you.
You know, Randy, you've been involved for quite some time and serve on the Board of Advisors. Can you give us a little history on Sensormatic's involvement and the role with the LPRC, and share with us any product wins and ways that the partnership has developed and been beneficial for Sensormatic as well as for the LPRC?
Yeah, sure. No, so I actually met Reed Hayes about 5 or 6 years ago, and Ned and I are doing work in the RFID space. And what we found ourselves working with retailers a lot was we're working on the green shopper. And I'll come back and talk about, Reed's metaphor for the red and the green shopper in a second. But I got with Reed and said, boy, retail's changing in a hurry, and some of the technologies that we're using to serve the green shopper can also be brought to bear on the red shopper. But retail's changing, and we need to create a forum, and it's moving to information-based. And so about 5 years ago, we sponsored Reed, and we got the Innovation Lab up and running. And I think we couldn't be more happy with the work that's come out of the Innovation Lab, which has promoted a space for collaboration, innovation, and thought leadership in a new space that, quite frankly, is less about what Tyco has to sell and more about where the industry is going. I think we indirectly benefit by having a front row seat to the understanding of where the future of retail and loss prevention is going. So it's been an amazing relationship, and we have increased our sponsorship. So we've re-upped for another 3 years with the LPRC in a very significant way, so they can expand the work that they're doing, and we're very excited about being part of that.
Mm-hmm. Is there some product wins or research and tests and store lab stuff that Tyco has gone through with them?
Yeah, I think we'll let Ned talk a little bit about that. But we actually did some work with a client, Macy's, around what was basically an inventory accuracy program that morphed into something that supported loss prevention, and the LPRC's influence and ability to help us understand and then promote kind of the work that was being done, but I'm not sure there was another way that we could have done that. I mean, it's been, like I said, it's been invaluable.
Yeah, and it's been kind of a relationship where even the competitors all get together in the industry and work together to help develop the solutions that the retailers really need. That's something that's very impressive.
Yeah, and I think that's because retail is changing radically. And I think, loss prevention, asset protection, it's not on the front end of the strategy, right? The omni-channel shopper is driving the front end of the strategy. But there are consequences for loss prevention and asset protection that need to be accounted for. And there's just too much going on for every company to go it alone. And I think even for the solution providers, there's too much for you to go it alone. And I think there's a fundamentally different character in the solutions that are coming forward, and that they are going to be information-based, not event-based, right? You think about the beep at the door or the video that you got to go search through. Now being able to target that, being able to shape it with some information about a loss event, that's where the future of asset protection and loss prevention is going.
Well, I know the Innovation Lab has been extremely beneficial for the LPRC, so that's fantastic that Sensormatic really help develop that and roll it out and sponsor it.
It's been fantastic for Sensormatic too, right? So, I don't know that we bring product concepts up and have somebody test them, but what we're more interested in is, in order to solve a big problem, right? We're not selling, we're solving these days. And so in order to solve that problem, right, there's a backbone set of capabilities that I call the software layer, and then you stitch in the hardware components, vetting our ideas around a problem that we've defined and a solution that we would propose to go invent back in Boca Raton. The Innovation Lab has allowed us to have those conversations with the retail industry, the academics, the researchers. And so as we use the Innovation Lab historically to inform some of our product development and our hypotheses around where the market's going. And I think this next generation of the lab is going to allow us to actually do more testing and learning around, what we would consider a more fully baked solution.
Yeah. Ned, you're coming more from the RFID perspective. How is the LPRC helping that field of interest? And are you using any of the knowledge or data with the operators? Is it benefiting the RFID retail push? And what could they be doing more to help? Bottom line.
So it starts out, RFID is an open standards technology, unlike EAS as an example where our business started. So number one, it's important that we share information and build the market collectively so that you get mass scale and adoption, and that's happening today. In terms of the operators, operators are probably the primary benefactor of the capability, the ability to be able to read and count information super quickly at an item level to give you super accurate inventory. And with accuracy comes visibility, and with visibility becomes the ability to track and trace merchandise, which has a lot of benefit to the loss prevention community. In terms of how the LPRC has helped us spread the word, I think number one, just having the academic research capabilities behind our theories, as Randy put it, and validate some of the things that we thought were possible once there was scale and adoption is just invaluable. We can have great ideas and great theories, but without practical experience, test and learn opportunities, and input from those that will use it, it's just a theory. Mm-hmm. So the LPRC has provided that forum for us, and we think it's just been invaluable.
Now, has the LPRC been in any involvement in the Macy's RFID rollout? How are you integrating them in the real world
Sure.
of an actual rollout?
So it's a great question. Macy's, in our initial phase, we installed a complete smart store in Gainesville, Florida. And we used that store and some of Reed's interns to test the capabilities of the system, the accuracy, the usability, and the things that you would want if you were to grow the technology and apply it to many other sites. So we deployed a store here in Gainesville, got great results with the help of Macy's and some of the feedback they provided. And so it was a combination of a solution provider, a retailer, and the academic world coming together to really validate what we thought could be powerful and then bring it to market.
And that was the ability to get by that initial rollout as well. it kind of justified the development for Macy's. They must have been thrilled with being able to have the LPRC right there in the backyard of the rollout, so to speak.
So Macy's, as is the case with many retailers, started on the RFID journey because they had an inventory accuracy problem. And so by solving the inventory accuracy problem with RFID then allows you to get into a lot of secondary use cases. And that may benefit loss prevention, it may benefit operators, it may benefit the omni-channel folks that are trying to leverage physical stores to fill online orders. It's a lot easier if you know what you have and where it is in a store. And so it has a lot for everyone, but you have to have a foundation of use cases, and it starts with inventory accuracy.
How do you parallel that to the EAS program in the store?
Yeah, it's really just the natural evolution of technology. EAS, wonderful technology. It's been around for 50 years now, but it is a simple technology. It's a binary technology. It's on or off. And while it provides a great deterrent and has been super effective for a very long time, the world has changed. And so just like a flip phone is now a smartphone, EAS has evolved into a smarter technology leveraging capabilities such as RFID. And when you have smarter sensors and readers that are capable of interpreting that information and then feeding broader systems in the ecosystem, you then have more benefit, more ROI, and a lot more use cases.
Now, with Macy's, do you have the RFID at the supply chain level as well? You know, where does that start as the benefit?
Starts at the source.
Okay.
It's critical in the RFID space to understand that applying and encoding a tag is a complex process that does not work well at the store level and is challenging, frankly, at the DC level. To get it right most of the time, it's best to start at the source. So we have partners, Avery Dennison and SML and many others that are very good at that. And once the retailer sees the potential benefits in inventory accuracy, inventory visibility, and the other use cases, they then partner with the vendor community who provides merchandise. They integrate it into the workflow far upstream at the source, and then the merchandise flows through to the store. So you have the need to have source tagging at the source, and then by virtue of that, you then have the ability, if the infrastructure is in place, to track and trace right through to the store level, including the exit.
Well, and with all the publicity that the out-of-stock issues have been for retail and the billions lost, you know, in the industry, and there's been a lot of studies on that and, you know, stuff in the media the last 12 months. You know, that's got to have a significant impact on that area of retail.
You're touching on probably the most important benefit.
Yeah.
So in this day and age, if you don't have what the shopper wants at that point in time, you're going to lose a sale. And so you have to be able to trust your system of record. RFID has been super effective in allowing that to happen. And so you have less out of stocks, more sell through, improved margin because you sell more at full retail. And then you also have an added benefit over time of being able to reduce the amount of inventory necessary to support the same sales, which is an incredible working capital benefit, and the CFOs in particular like that.
You know, but what about at the point of sale? I mean, the customer's bought it. I mean, in theory, is that label still communicating? I mean, from a standpoint of when the customer would go to return it, looking for a refund, whatever, or just the life of the garment. I mean, doesn't the label continue to work, continue to emit a signal?
Sure. The EPC label is capable of being read as long as it's on the merchandise.
Right.
Sometimes, and in some situations, you may disposition that tag as sold. Depends on how you're utilizing the technology. But sure, it could be super beneficial to the asset protection team in particular when returns come into play. Because as we all know, there's a lot of fraud in returns. If you understand specifically what merchandise was bought or not bought and left the store or not left the store, you have more information to take action on, both for the good shopper and the bad guy.
And from a privacy issue, has there been any issues there, any discussions about privacy for the customer side?
You know, that was a question we got an awful lot I don't know, half a decade ago. And
I was going to say a decade ago.
maybe a decade now. It seems like a long time since that topic was even material. But Randy may have a different opinion on
Well,
that.
I'm just saying the privacy issues around your use of your smartphone and the data that is collected there has completely taken the conversation away from something like RFID, which has no PII on it whatsoever. It's a serialized UPC that's got a couple a header and some other data on it. There's nothing confidential about that.
So, and with, Sensormatic roll out of the new infusion tag and the smart tag theory, is there hopes to possibly incorporate RFID into that tag and just take it to the next level and such? Because that tag is certainly a retractable pin and all that stuff. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I would say that tag is a carrier. It's a technology carrier. It can carry acoustomagnetic sensors. It can carry RFID sensors. It could carry e-ink displays for pricing. It could carry a lot of things. And I think that's the way that Sensormatic is looking at the hard tag. Inditex, who's one of our biggest RFID customers, uses the hard tag with RFID in it. It's the pinned version. The pinless version comes today in our traditional acoustomagnetic, but there are prototypes of a dual technology tag with the infusion tag as well.
So in Smash, the software that's reading the EAS, activity, I mean, that kind of plays into the smart tag, into the RFID, to the whole gambit of protection and inventory control and such.
Yeah, and this goes back to why it's so important for us to be aligned with the LPRC. One of the things that we love about what's going on here is that there are frameworks coming together. And so, as I think about the 5 zones of influence for the red shopper, by the way, I think there's an analogous concept, 5 zones of influence for the green shopper, that would be all about customer experience. But for the 5 zones of influence for the red shopper, right, we see SMAS as a way to stitch together the best in the market for zone 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and whether Tyco provides some or none or all of the sensors, you're going to need a framework for being able to pull all that together. And I think, SMAS will start out as, primarily a way to improve the quality and reduce the cost of servicing that, but it's really a much bigger idea than that.
Well, getting back to LPRC,
Yep.
what's the number one deliverable from the LPRC for a solution provider? And on the flip side, what's the number one developmental suggestion that you would have for them?
Yeah, so I think, I'm probably going to have a different answer than a lot of people in the industry were. I think because of the change that's going on in retail and the move to a data-centric world with machine learning, artificial intelligence, the thought leadership framework, the 5 zones of influence, the 3 priorities, right? So if you think about Reed's 3 priorities, which is on-shelf availability, a frictionless experience at the checkout, and a safe and secure environment. When you think about the job of loss prevention in the future, that red shopper is on a continuum. The worst ones create physical harm and financial harm that goes to the brand level, right? That's the safe and secure environment. There's another group of red shoppers that goes to either organized or opportunistic financial harm, right? Those are the traditionally organized retail crime and the shoplifters. And all of that activity actually has a real impact on the green shopper, who, that's the whole point of the enterprise, is to try and serve her in a way that makes her want to come back to the store and buy more. And so what you see is this notion of, the continuum of the problem in asset protection, but also now a focus on how does that relate to, leverage, and enable a better shopping experience for the person that you're trying to get to the store.
Well put.
Not a lot to add to that, aside from saying that I think the LPRC provides great evidence-based, fact-based information that retailers can take back to their executive committee and use as validation for future investments. It's not just a solution provider saying, buy my stuff. It is a vetted solution with a strong academic background and their stamp on it that helps us all trust it.
Lastly, what would you say to a fellow solution provider about joining and how to make it beneficial for them?
I would say that number one, it's a great networking opportunity. When I look around the room and see hundreds of retailers and the experience and talent, if you're going to be in this business, you want to be in the room. We all know that we learn from each other, and oftentimes as retail evolves, there's opportunities to advance, whether it's internally or just within the community. So it's good to know folks, and this is a great place to do it. And secondly, it's where the most innovative talent shows up in the business, in my experience, and collaborates and shares information that you often don't see anywhere else.
And I got a little different take on it. You know, I think the world of siloed solutions is gone, right? That old, you know, I got a technology thread and it does a single thing and that's all it does. Those days are over. And so I think in order to understand where technology is going, loss prevention decision makers will sometimes still be that, and sometimes they will be decision takers, not decision makers, because of the ubiquity and the power of some of the technologies that are being deployed. And if you don't understand how to map into that and how to play your role in a much larger ecosystem, I think you're going to find it tough sledding selling your solutions or products into the loss prevention market without understanding that dynamic. I'd say you need to get to the LPRC.
Yeah, well put. Thank you for being here today, gentlemen.
Thanks,
It's a
Gus.
pleasure. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, that's it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to thank Sensormatic once again for sponsoring the entire series, and we'd like to thank you for watching. And until next time, let's keep them all safe out there.